Hello friends, welcome to Squaird Plans, where creative planning and organization comes to life. I'm Stephanie, and today we're going to be designing my faith planner for the month of January. We'll be setting up all my monthly and weekly pages in my classic happy planner, so come plan with me. And I've got some washi tapes here ready to go, along with this brush tip marker and fine liner, some calligraphy ink and a paintbrush, this Paper Studio sticker book, this Happy Planner sticker book, and this Live Love Posh sticker book, which I'll pull from. Okay, you guys, so if this is your first time seeing my faith planner setup, the way I like to approach it is to do all of the pages within this planner for the month of January in the same theme. So it just makes it a little bit easier for setting things up ahead of time, having it all ready to go when the month starts, and then using that same decorated theme throughout the month, so I don't have to worry about doing weeklies each week. That said, I am thinking for the month of January to do this really pretty teal toned theme with these winter vibes. These are from the Live Love Posh sticker book, which is just a really pretty set, I think, of kind of watercolor style stickers. So we'll be using those for all of the month. Luckily, there are 2 sheets, so that should be enough to carry me through all of the different spreads we'll be designing today. I also have a super old Happy Planner sticker book. The Faith sticker book might have been maybe even the original Faith sticker book. And I have some quotes in there that I haven't used, which I think the color scheme will work with what I've got going on here. There's lots of blues to teal to green tones in these quotes. Winter obviously is a really good time to use that color scheme. These have been sitting around for quite a while, so hopefully I can get them to work with the florals and other decor here as far as colors are concerned. I had thought about actually making my own faith quote stickers for this month, but I just did not have the time. I'm filming this in December, obviously, and I believe this goes up in December, so it's a busy month and I didn't have time to do that. But maybe for February, I'll go ahead and create my own quote stickers, since I'm really scrounging around for faith quotes at the current moment. So like I said, I had some quotes there in that Happy Planner sticker book, and I'm going to stretch them as far as I can. I've actually cut up one already and made it into 2, along with a second one there with the Rejoice cut off. We'll see where I put that. I have one that I'm not really crazy about, which I don't really feel is a faith quote, but the styling works, so we'll throw it in, and it was in the faith book, so we'll make it work. And then I have a few other ones, so I have one more spot there in the quote sections that I'll need to figure out. But for the most part, just trying to build out how each of these collages is going to look. I am actually decorating the This Week box for all 4 weeks on the page. So I'm using some wax paper so that I can move the stickers around and figure out exactly how I want things to look. But they won't all be on the same spread. They'll actually each be on an individual weekly spread. It's just an easier way for me to do it all at once and figure out how each one is going to look without going and flipping the pages each time. Also, I can compare and contrast what I'm doing on each and make adjustments there so that it works better for all spreads. I'm using the same elements too, as you can see on all of these spreads. So each one has a floral element, a snowflake or snowflakes, multiple, a tree element sticker, as well as a quote. So let's go ahead and start moving things over to the spread. I'll start with this one here for the first week of January. Because I'm going to be using this one quote twice in the weeklies, I'm going to separate them out as far as possible, putting this one on the first week and then the other one on the last week so that I can, like I said, spread them out. I'm also going to bring in some washi this month. I haven't done this at all in 2023. I've been sticking with just decorating that this week box in the corners for the weeklies, but I thought it'd be nice just to add a little bit more decor on the spreads in 2024. So let's go ahead and try that, adding some low profile washi here at the bottom. I mainly steer away from doing added decor in these spreads because I use these quadrant boxes for lettering. I do a verse of the day from the Bible each day and letter it in, and I do like having the full box to work with for the most part. Sometimes it's fine if I, take up some space with decor, but it just looks a little bit cleaner usually if I keep the boxes fairly clean and empty before I do the lettering. So I really didn't do anything with those in 2023, but I thought adding a little bit of washi down here wouldn't hurt anybody. So we're going to do that for January and see how that goes. So I'm basically just going to repeat this process going through each week and moving that cluster of stickers over to the this week box. And then doing any trimming or anything that needs to be done to accommodate that. I'll do this all now since I've got the first one done with the washi and everything. So I'll just go through all the weeks, move the clusters over, and then go back and do the washi. I will say that these quotes aren't quite the right color, I would say, or not my first choice for color. They're pretty close. There is some blue tones in the trees and the grays that are there, and a light touch of purple, but I wish I would have had something that was a little bit stronger in the teal tones for all the spreads. But I made it work, and I think it comes out really nicely, just a little bit colorful, more colorful than I had planned. What I'll probably do to compensate is to stick with just a one color pen when I do the weeklies instead of trying to do multiple colors, just to really help keep the colorfulness of the spreads down a little bit. That is mainly because I feel like when you go crazy with too much color, it gets to feel a little bit, fluttery, especially when I'm going to be filling the spread up pretty much to the brim with lettering. So having that uniform color scheme, I think, will help just kind of ease the amount of color that's in those decor areas in the corners. I'm laying in the washi tape now on each of the weekly spreads, and the technique I'm using there is just to place it on one side of the spread at the bottom, lining it up to the bottom line, and then doing the same thing with the excess on the opposite side of the page. Of course, I hand cut my printables, so sometimes they're not perfect. Some are straighter than others. Some are a little bit more wide versus narrow as far as the spacing at the bottom. So doing them by hand here and customizing it to the spread is helpful. And also not wasting the extra washi tape by reusing the excess is also always a good thing. I'm very frugal with my supplies. Even though I have a ton of supplies, I just don't like to waste. So it's something I keep in mind when I do things. I always try to minimize the, trimmings, and then anything that is trimmed, if I can reuse it, I try to reuse it or even save it on the roll and reuse it later down the road. We're almost done here. I'm going to put a big thick strip of the washi on the very back page. I am still undecided on how I'm going to use that page for 2024, but I will decorate it in the same theme just so I have it ready. My idea, maybe just to start, is to be a gratitude page, and then we'll see where it takes us into 2024. So that's my backup plan, but if I come across something else that I think I really want to do for that page between now and the start of January, I will definitely implement that. And now we've moved on to the monthly setup. It's in a little bit of a different position than it was last year. I've moved it back a spread from being the very first spread when you turn to the month to being the second spread. This is because when I used to frankenplan, I had all of my monthlies on the second tab in my order, and I really miss that. I don't know, I just kind of have that ingrained now in my brain for where to look for monthly spreads, and so I've moved it into that slot again, whereas last year it was under the first tab. That might not make any sense to you, but if you check out my frankenplanning system and any of my planner setup videos, you'll kind of understand what I mean by that. It's just something that really helps with my flow, especially now that I'm so used to it being on the second tab, and I always struggled with it in 2023, so it'll be really nice to have it back in that second tab slot. That said, I've already decorated some of the areas here on the spread, including the empty boxes there at the end of the month, just using that nice big sticker that was there. So I will trim some washi, layer that at the bottom for consistency, so all the spreads will have that washi at the bottom. And then lay in this large sticker here with the trees. I'll also white out the empty boxes there where they have the dividing lines to create just a small area that's a little bit cleaner to look at when I lay down these trees. And I just use a Jelly Roll white opaque pen for that, so any white gel pen should work just fine. I like the Sakura Jelly Roll, but many options are out there and available, so whatever you have at your disposal should do the trick, though some are easier than others as far as the width of the tip of the pen, that kind of thing, and the fluidity of your ink. So for me, the Sakura one tends to work out the best. And so I've already moved in those trees. I did white out behind them where they crossed over into the day boxes. I'm not really putting too much decor within the functional area here. I use this spread to do what I call the takeaway. I do a daily Bible reading each day, and then I like to find some application that I can apply to my life. So I write it down and I also take it in for the day. That's how I use the monthly. I write out a little snippet. And so I do need the space in those boxes every day for that snippet of information, that takeaway. So I try to minimize how much decor is in there, but every so often I will add a little bit in there to add some visual interest, which is what I did with those trees. I also went ahead and rolled off the decor there at the top with the snowflakes. And tidied things up. And I think that looks really good. Let's move on to the overview spread. This spread is an option that's available in my shop. I created it last year as a way to really kind of work in some options into my planner, and I really fell in love with it. It was just really well used for my faith planner. So I'm keeping it in 2024. And this year too, I am using the one that's undated from my shop. Last year, I actually created a dated one that looked a little bit different, but this year I'm going to use exactly what's available in my shop, which is an undated version. It's basically the same as the one that was there, but there's no month header. I like that. Also too, the habit trackers are all going to be 31 days, so I will have to be mindful to white out the extra days as needed. So I went ahead and dropped in some washi tape down here at the bottom. And add in some trees there from that Live Love Posh book. There were 2 sheets of these stickers, so I'm basically going to end up using all of the available stickers under this theme in the book. large trees were a nice filler decor item there for the dot grid area. I'm also going to put some of the florals here at the top with one of the quotes from the Happy Planner sticker book. You may have noticed I'm not going to use the other sticker book that I pulled, the one from the paper source. I think I'll just stick with one type of quote. I was really hoping that I would have enough, and I did in the Happy Planner one, but I brought the other one in as a backup. I do like to drop in quotes on my spreads, I feel like they feel a bit naked without one, so that's always something I'm looking for, which is why I am scrounging now for faith quotes, because I've used them for many, many years, and there just never seems to be enough with even the new books that I get, so might just have to make my own and make my life a little bit easier. So I've added in the snowflakes there at the top along with a quote, and that looks good for now. Let's go ahead and add some washi tape on the back page and finish out these stickers there in the back. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use this spread. I'm guessing gratitude for now, but maybe if you guys have any ideas between now and the start of the new year that I could use this spread for, I would be really excited to hear them. I've done things in the past like Bible challenges, themed studies, even kindness, calendars, things like that. Lots of different things that I've tried, and they're all good. I don't know. I also don't want it to be too difficult for myself, so I will put that caveat out there. I do a lot in my planner, so I don't want it to be something that's going to be super time consuming. If it's just like reading one verse out of the Bible a day, then that's one thing, or doing something with it, or, just having some kind of action item like a kindness calendar where you try to do some kindness to other people for that day. That's definitely probably a doable option, but aside from that, nothing too intense as far as Bible study, if you please. So I've already mocked up basically the back page, and now we're back on the overview page, and I'm going to add a little bit of highlighter in here. I'm thinking this will be the color of the month, this bright teal tone. So I grabbed this pen from Primrosia that has a nice brush tip on one side and then also a nice fine liner, which is great for lettering. I got that, and then I've realized there's a nice big empty spot down here in this dot grid area, so I'm going to pull in one more sticker from the Faith sticker book. A box sticker, but I liked the colors matching up really nicely with the teals, so we'll just drop that in. And now we're moving on to the monthly, where I'm going to add in some areas for tracking the Bible verses that I read each day. Again, I go through the Bible daily. I actually read through the entire Bible once every year, and I like to track that here, as well as putting in that takeaway application. So I think we're pretty much set to go. There was one more thing I wanted to add to this, which is a little bit of splatter. I have this white calligraphy ink, which is really nice. It's a water-based ink, but it does take forever to dry, so bear with me. I'm going to put a little bit of splatter on top of the trees and maybe even on the flowers. I have to wait quite a bit of time, though, in between sides of the paper, so I'm going to do as much as I can on one side, and then I'll let it sit for a minute. There may be a little time lapse, and then I'll jump to the opposite sides or whatever's left over to do. Luckily, the weeklies are all on one side, which is helpful. Save me a little bit of time. I'm just taking a paintbrush to splatter it in, just dipping it and then tapping the paintbrush to create that splatter. mainly looking for like a snowy style effect for some texture. So I went ahead and did that, and I definitely time-lapsed it, but I was checking the ones, hoping that they were pretty much dry enough for me to flip them. They were still a little bit wet though after about 5 minutes or so, so the bigger splotches took much longer to dry than the small ones. Just keep that in mind if you're going to go the same route. I'll have everything that I used linked down below in the description, so if you have any questions about using this material or this media, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Time has gone by. It's been, like I said, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So I'll try to get this back in order. I know some of these pages are still a little wet. You will be very gentle with them and put them back in my planner, but once I am done with that, you guys, we will be done, friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Also, too, go ahead and leave me a comment if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Bye.